WinGet is one of my absolutely favorite tools. It's so useful. It's gonna make you the hero at your work, in private. It's super useful. And especially this video about WinGet, because now we have reached the install command. So obviously it's installing software, and that's very, very useful. Let's jump into it. Okay, so we need sort of a terminal, CMD or PowerShell. So I'm gonna start a terminal. And by habit, especially now when we do install commands, it's good to start this as an administrator, so you have permission to install software. Gonna maximize this one and clear it. Now we're ready to go. Actually, I'm gonna put myself at the root. There's no reason for me to be in a folder. I wanted to clear that one. Okay, let's start. So if we do WinGet install and nothing more, it's not gonna like that, because well, it will want to have some parameters. But let's go through. So it says, hey, you didn't give any package. So we can start with, there is an alias. So each time I write WinGet install, you can technically write WinGet add. Add is an alias, and you're going to change that to install. And sometimes I type winget.exe or just WinGet. I'm probably just going to type only WinGet. Both works. So we're going to go through all these, but I wanted just to do something fun to see the power of this quickly. Let's do an installation, and then we go back and look at all this. So in the previous video, we found how to search. So if you haven't seen that, go and check. WinGet search. Let's say we want to install Zoom, and we need to know the ID in order to install it. So we search here. WinGet search. You could also find, that's the other alias. Oh, we got pretty many. The one we want here is the Zoom Workplace, the software. So I'm going to copy this ID. I'll clear the screen. So if we just do WinGet install, and then we do --ID, because that's the unique ID we found in the search, here, it's going to install. It's not going to be silent, and you might get some prompts that I won't get, to like saying yes, you only have to do that once. And we're going to show how you can do switches to make it totally silent, so you can use it in Intune or your deployment tool or just your scripts. So I hit enter here now, and this should install Zoom. So not that much, right? So it's finding its repository. I was searching for the word, and now it's installing it. So perfect, it's installed. That was easy, right? But there are so much more we can do. So let's, I'll clear the screen again. Let's go back to WinGet install. So with just 4 words in the command prompt, we have installed Zoom. No download file, search for it. Well, we actually had to do a WinGet search, but we could do all from the command line. So if we go back here, so we installed the Zoom. With the WinGet install, then we were using this --ID, and then we find the ID, which is usually the manufacturer dot the product, but it's good to search to really find it. You can install on the name also, or moniker, which is very unique per software. And we didn't specify version, so we got the latest version. Imagine for some reason we didn't want the latest version, so I clear. So I'm going to go arrow up here and go back to search Zoom, and we can do it better actually. --ID Zoom and then versions. Maybe there are multiple versions, and if you don't specify the version, again you get the latest. So here it didn't give me the version, and I explained that in the previous video. We have to set that it's -E for exact. Now it only find one, this one here, and then it's gonna give us the versions. So we have multiple versions. So the latest one is 6 something. Let's say for some strange reason we want the latest version of 5. We haven't tested all our system with 6, so we want that. Then that's next video, but let's do it now. WinGet uninstall and I'm gonna do that. So this one we're gonna speak more about in another video. I'm just wanna uninstall Zoom so we can install the latest one. So now it's uninstalling. Okay, CLS. So now there is no Zoom on this device. If I type Zoom, I will just get the Bing research or something like that. No, not even that. No Zoom installed. So now we do again WinGet install, or you remember the alias. We could put add instead also, but I'll use install. Then we do -E for exact, so it's very sure we get the one we want. And the ID was, I remember, zoom.zoom. And when you type -E, it's even case sensitive, so it has to be capital Z in Zoom. So if I just hit enter here now, I'm again going to get the latest. But if I want, which is version 6, if I want version 5 or not the latest, so to speak, then I have to paste in the version number here. And explained in the previous video, some, for example, Google Chrome, only give the latest version. So you don't have that option for everyone. So now we're going to install, but not the latest version. And we see here it's downloading. Architecture type is 64-bit. We're going to look at that also, how to install 32-bit if we want. So it's going to be a lot of installing. Well, that worked. So now we have Zoom. And if we can start that. It's going to ask for where you see the version down here, 5.15. So that works. If you want to install a specific version, you add -V and which version you want. I'm going to uninstall Zoom again, so we can reinstall it with many different parameters. This works for all software you can find in WinGet. Let's clear it. So we go WinGet install. Let's check the next command. There are many. We're not going to go through all. Don't worry. I'm going through the most useful ones. So we have done ID. Scoop is pretty interesting. It's nearly never worked for me, but if you want to install it for the user or machine, some software such as Slack, you can install for user and machine, or actually you install for both. You install for the machine, and when you start Slack, it's going to install for user. So when it's installed in user, it's basically under your app data, local, and the apps. So I'm not going to show scope, but good to know. If a software can be installed under C program files, that means machine, or if it supports user, then you can specify that and put scope equal user or machine. But we can go to architecture. So most are running 64-bit, right? But if for some reason you need a 32-bit option, you can specify -A or -architecture. I'm going to use this one. So let's see if there is a 32-bit version of Zoom. Default, it's going to go 64-bit. So I'll type it. We do WinGet install or add. -E for exact and the ID, and this one was easy to remember, zoom.zoom. And now we wanted architecture, and we put it to, you have two options, either it's x86 for 32-bit or x64 for 64-bit. Let's install a 32-bit. I'm not a big fan of that, but some software you maybe need it. Let's see if they have a 32-bit. They should. So here it's installing the latest because we didn't specify. Just verify that, oh yeah, it says here, workplace 32-bit. So it's working for Zoom also. Not everyone have a 32-bit version, but here we got it. And how do you verify on your system that it's really that? Well, if we go here to see program files, 64-bit apps, they install themselves under here. I hope I don't have a Zoom res. No, nothing here. And 32-bit apps on a 64-bit OS system. If it was a 32-bit OS system, you would have only program files. But if you have a 64-bit Windows, but you install a 32-bit application, it arrives here on the program files x86. And here we have all the Zoom files. So indeed, that's the case. So architecture, if you want to install the 32-bit. And we're going to uninstall again Zoom here, so we can reinstall it. and we clear it. Let's go for next command. So we were here at the architecture. Installer type, I don't find that so useful. Well, it is useful, but the fact is that it seems that most applications are hard-coded to one type. So it could be, what is the installation file? It could be the exe file, an MSI, it could be nullsoft. So we can see some. I will have to introduce a new WinGet command for that to see. But if we do WinGet show, and then put the ID, for example, of Zoom, I forgot, was it Zoom? I think it was an MSI. So if we put WinGet show, it's going to give some info about this software. So for example here, it's going to say installer type MSI. But if we put another software, let's put VLC Video LAN. I think that's what it is. Nope. It's the opposite around. Videolan.vlc, because it's the manufacturer. Videolan.vlc. Yep. Then this type is of nullsoft. That's another technique. And if we do Google Chrome, we'll have another installer type. Let's do Google Chrome. It exists a few, and here it's Wix. That's sort of, you're gonna see the installer, it's an MSI, but it's more modern. And we can do Mozilla Firefox, which I think is an exe. Firefox. Yes, installer type is an exe. So why did I mention that? Probably spending too much stuff on something we probably won't use. But you can, I'll clear the screen. It starts to be messy here. You can, if we install, let me go back to our friend Zoom. Let's not install the 32-bit. Here, if we install, if we put -- installer, I think it's -- or types. I'm unsure. But if we put that equal to exe, it might actually install it as an exe then. See if it works. What have I done? I think it is installer type. It did not like this. Let me see if I can exit out of this. I can. Just let me verify the command. It is, I nearly never use it. Installer type, it is that. It should have worked. Let's do installer type equal Wix then. It should say that it doesn't have it. No, it just doesn't work. No, okay, that's where I want to see. Why? Because Zoom, if we look at I can write it. WinGet, and then we do show, and we do --ID Zoom. The type for it is MSI. So that means, I'll clear the screen. It gets messy so quickly, hard to follow. If we do installer type MSI, which is the default, so this is totally useless. Now it's gonna install, because that's the type it has. I guess, I haven't seen, but probably some software maybe support multiple types. Then I think for install, it's less important because you just want to install. When you upgrade, it could be interesting. Okay, so we got it, installer type. I spent way too much time for something not so useful. Let's uninstall Zoom, and then we will go to the next one. Okay, the uninstall is quick. If we do WinGet install, what else do we have? We have local, who could be pretty interesting for a language, because of course default it goes to English. Before that, exact we spoke about. Interactive, I never used that because you need user input. I like WinGet that it's silent. You find your perfect command line, you save it, and then you just rerun it, and you never have to think about it again. Interactive, may be useful if there is a choice the user need to do, but I'm a Microsoft Intune guy. I want it silent, deployed, no questions asked. And speaking about that, silent we should run. So so I'll clear the screen again, and we do WinGet. Okay, I do the add now. We always do install, but add is an alias. There is no win in that. It just know that it exists. Win add --id. We again gonna install Zoom. This time it's gonna be less fun because we're gonna do it silent. So we're not gonna see anything. It's just gonna stay here. Well, we're gonna see this, but we don't gonna see, the pop-up and the progress bar. If it's on there. Yeah. So here, this you're going to see, but if you run it with Intune or your deployment tool, no one's going to see anything. So that's the silent. A very good one. I use it all the time because obviously when you deploy in certain software, you don't want the users to see it. Let's uninstall for the 10th time. Not the 10th time, but pretty many times, right? Let's do WinGet install. Two of my favorites are, let me see where they are custom and override. I'm not going to show an example of that, but so this is, probably when you run it here with installer, the silent, it's going to add, if you know the MSI exec switches, it's going to add the /qn, so, and for silent and everything. If you're happy, just want to install the software, you're fine. But if you want to add some options like add an SSO URL to Zoom, or add, a parameter to Adobe Acrobat, don't add the Chrome add-in or anything like that. If you're used to do that in script, you can use customs and add those arguments. But those are passed into addition to the defaults. If when it install and you don't like at all the option, like maybe it's adding a shortcut or something to the desktop that you don't want, actually it often does that and I don't like that, then you can use the -override. Then you are in command of all the commands, but then you must pass them. So this depends on which software you're deploying, but those two are useful. I never allow reboot, I don't want it, but I mean, some software needs a reboot, so maybe that could be good, but by default it will never reboot. And you don't want to push something with Intune or another tool, and then the users are working and just suddenly it restarts. They haven't seen the installation because it's silent. So, but yeah, I guess there are some useful for that. Same for skip dependency could be useful. I never use this ignore local archive malware scan. It's probably good, but accept package agreements, very good. The reason is if you want to run something silent, you need this one. If not, the script's gonna stop and ask for that someone say yes. You also need, that was the, which one did I copy? Yeah, accept package agreement. You need one more, accept source agreement. These two, so we can add that. So I see some more useful stuff we want to do. So if we do WinGet, and this time I will not do the add again, install, we can do -e this time for exact, --id, again our friend zoom.zoom, and then do --silent, because silent, we want to run this in a script. We don't even want the user to know about it. Then here we need to add these two. So accept package agreement and accept source agreement. If you run these, well, we can do it. It's again going to install the same as we have done million of times. If you add all this in your script, you are fine. If you don't add accept package agreement and accept source agreement, it's going to stand and wait for, yes, do you want to allow this? And then, well, if you run it hidden, the script's just going to wait for input that no one sees because we're running it silent and everything. And users shouldn't have. So I hit this. It's not going to be that interesting. We're going to install again Zoom, the latest version at this time, architecture 64-bit. Take a longer time this time. Okay, it's installed. I go back to our uninstall. Uninstalling is fast as well. And you can add silent uninstall, but we have a specific video for uninstall. Okay, let's clear the screen. Let's do WinGet install again. We were down here. Rename I haven't really used. Uninstall previous is pretty good because, for example, 7-zip I have noticed it's usually just adds on the new version. It's actually only one, but it leave it in program, so it looks a bit messy. So this one could be good, also uninstall previous. Force, I use that sometimes when I have issue. It maybe helps sometimes. So it's basically just to force it to continue. Wait, I never used. Logs, I prefer to have my own logs, but those are nice. And the rest, I think we are pretty good. Yeah, there's a log here also if supported. Local silence, interactive. We have went through all, so I can just quickly mention my favorites. It is definitely to do exact, then I know if I have the exact ID. You can install by name also. We can show that. No, let me go through the list first so I finish something. Version could be useful, but it's not my favorite. But because you often want the latest. That's what I like with WinGet. You just know you run the command, you get the latest. Architecture, use it sometime. Scope, I like the idea, but since usually it doesn't work, when I say if I want something for user, it's still installed as machine because that's the only way the installers understand it. Exact, very useful. Silent, extremely useful. I like customs and override for apps that needs that. Then accept package agreement, very useful if you run silent script. And accept source agreement are also very useful. So those are my favorite. Now I already forgot, what did I say? Oh, yeah, to install by name also. So if we do, let me clear again. WinGet search, and well, why don't we search Zoom again then? So Zoom, we could do it on name also, Zoom Workplace, but you see it's a space there, so you have to do WinGet install. You can be super lazy, you don't even have to specify -- name, you can just put here, but if you run it like this, it's gonna not understand that Workplace is part of it, so we have to put it in quotation. I'm pretty sure. Let's hit enter. I didn't test that before. Maybe it's going to work. Oh, multiple source. Oh, it actually did understand the space. Huh. What if we put this like that? It should understand better. Now it finds only one. Nope, it still understands that it's two. Okay. So I didn't prepare that, but don't worry, we fixed that. So two have the same name. So I thought it would be confused with the space. So you don't maybe need to put the quotation. But here you must show source because it doesn't know, okay, do you want the Microsoft Store one or the WinGet? Well, we want the WinGet one. So if we run this command, it's going to work. So software who doesn't have the... so name is a bit less generic, but the software who didn't have the store version, this would have worked. And you can definitely install the store version with WinGet also if you want, but I'll really prefer the WinGet version. Okay, I think we are pretty good on the WinGet install. That's my favorite command. So now you know how to search to find the software and now install. In the next video, we're going to show some more useful commands. So you will master all the commands with WinGet. Really, really useful. See you in the next video.